137 meters long, 23 meters wide, 3 full stories high. Those were the exact dimensions God gave Noah. Clear, direct, and incredibly specific. There was no room for guesswork, no creative reinterpretation. The order was simple and absolute. Build yourself an ark. From that command, one of the greatest construction projects in human history began, not with cranes and blueprints, but with a man, his family, and faith. The Bible gives us the basics, the size of the ark, the material and its purpose, but turning a divine blueprint into real wood, beams, and a massive structure came with challenges the text doesn't describe, yet any ancient builder would understand. And it all starts with something most people completely overlook: the land itself. You can't just build a 137-meter structure anywhere. Noah needed a place wide and level enough, with firm ground that could carry an enormous weight. It couldn't sit near unstable slopes that might collapse, and it had to be close enough to cypress forests that hauling the wood wouldn't be impossible. So picture Noah walking the land, staff in hand, pressing it into the soil, testing the firmness under his feet, studying the lay of the ground, the distance to the trees, and the paths they could use to bring in the logs. No maps, no heavy machinery, no survey team, just practical wisdom, observation, and trust in what God had told him. When he finally finds the right spot, construction doesn't start with beams or planks. It starts with dirt, rocks, and sweat. Noah and his sons begin pulling out large stones, cutting and uprooting deep roots, leveling every stretch of ground. On top of that, there's another problem that makes everything harder in the pre-flood world: constant moisture rising from the earth itself. Genesis 2:6 explains that a mist used to rise from the ground and water the whole surface of the land. Beautiful image, but a headache for a builder. Moist soil becomes mud, tools sink, wooden beams soak up water. The ground softens and shifts under weight. So Noah likely had to do more than just level the ground. He probably dug shallow channels around the work site, simple trenches to redirect that constant moisture so it wouldn't saturate the area where the ark would stand. No advanced drainage system, just basic practical solutions to keep the foundation area as dry and stable as possible. Remember, it wasn't rain falling from the sky yet. The earth itself breathed moisture upward. And while Noah is out there digging trenches, moving rocks and flattening ground, people walk by and stare. Some laugh. Others whisper, "What is he doing? Why does he need so much land?" From a human point of view, it makes no sense to prepare such a gigantic construction site so far from any sea. But Noah doesn't argue. He isn't building according to human logic. He is following a divine instruction. When the ground is finally firm, level, and dry, a new stage begins, and it's even more demanding: gathering the wood for this colossal structure. The Bible is straightforward. Make yourself an ark of cypress wood. Cypress trees are not small, decorative plants. They are huge, sturdy, and dense, perfect for a project of this size, but brutal to cut down with ancient tools. Felling a single massive cypress with basic axes takes time, strength, and patience. Now imagine doing that not once or twice, but hundreds of times. Day after day, blow after blow, Noah and his sons work until, finally, the deep cracking sound echoes through the forest, and another giant tree crashes to the ground. Without trucks, cranes, or proper wagons in large number, moving those enormous logs is its own engineering problem. So Noah uses the same technique many ancient civilizations relied on: wooden rollers. Smaller trunks and branches are cut and placed on the ground in rows. The huge cypress log is then rolled on top of them. With ropes, levers, and sheer human effort, they begin to pull. The log moves a little. The rollers in the back are picked up and carried to the front. Then they pull again. A few more meters, then reset, over and over. Slow, exhausting, and risky. But every log that reaches the work site is another step toward turning God's command into reality. As the pile of wood grows, the moment comes to begin the most complex stage of the project. Not just cutting and dragging trees, but raising a giant structure that can survive the greatest storm in human history. For the Ark to remain stable, straight, and strong, Noah has to start where every large vessel starts, with the keel, the backbone of the whole ship. The Bible doesn't explain how he did it step by step, but any experienced builder from that time would know. A structure this size needs a long, exceptionally strong central beam to support the hull, the 3 decks, and the massive cargo that will one day sit on top of it. But there's an obvious problem. No tree grows 137 meters long. That means Noah couldn't just find a perfect beam. He had to create it. He and his sons would cut multiple giant beams and then join them together, trunk after trunk, forming one continuous straight and solid line. This took technique, precision, and patience. They probably used wooden joints known since ancient times, male and female fittings, carefully carved so they locked together like puzzle pieces. When these joints were well made, the result was incredibly strong, almost as if the structure were a single piece. To secure those joints even more, they likely drove thick wooden pegs and stakes through them, using hardwood where the forces would be greatest. These pins acted like nails, except made from wood itself. Each joint reinforced, each connection tightened, all so the keel could endure the violent forces of waves and long months of floating. Once the keel is complete and laid out across the ground, another impressive phase begins. Raising the ribs of the Ark. The ribs are curved beams that rise from the sides of the keel and give shape to the hull. They define the body of the ship. These ribs need to be placed with precision. If just one is tilted too far or misaligned, the entire structure could twist or lose balance. So Noah and his sons carve custom joints into both the keel and the ribs. These joints allow the ribs to lean and curve naturally as they are lifted into place, locking firmly into the central spine of the vessel. Now imagine the scene. Massive beams being lifted using long wooden levers, thick ropes, and nothing but human strength. Noah gives instructions. His sons push, pull, and adjust. They shout to each other, correcting angles, watching every centimeter as the rib rises. A slight mistake could make the piece fall, injuring someone or damaging the structure. To maintain symmetry and stability, they likely stretch ropes from one end of the Ark to the other as reference lines, making sure everything stays aligned. One rib goes up, then another, dozens of times until the skeleton of the Ark begins to appear. This wasn't just a giant barn, it had to float and stay dry inside. So the next crucial step is sealing the Ark. God had been very clear. Cover it inside and out with pitch. Pitch, or bitumen, is a heavy resin from the earth, something like natural tar. To use it, Noah and his sons would heat it, melt it down and spread it while it was still hot and sticky. As it cooled, it formed a tough, protective layer over the wood. Applied only on the outside, it would already help, but that alone wouldn't be enough. Wood naturally absorbs moisture over time. Any small crack, any gap between two boards, any unnoticed opening could let water in. And water inside the Ark over many months could mean rotting, warping, or even structural failure. So Noah doesn't just brush a thin coat on the outside and call it done. He and his sons work methodically, covering every joint, every seam, every tiny gap, from the outside and from the inside as well. They likely work section by section, applying one layer of pitch, letting it cool and harden, then adding another over the most vulnerable areas. The smell of heated resin fills the air. Their hands and clothes are stained. Any flaw, any rushed job could cost them everything when the waters came. Finally, when the last crack is sealed and the final layer hardens, the Ark is no longer just a huge wooden frame. It has become something else entirely, an airtight shelter, a giant lifeboat designed to face an event the world had never seen before. And with the outside ready, Noah now has to turn to the next great challenge: shaping the inside of the Ark into a place where life can actually survive.